Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the Learning Quran. So this is the translation of Surah Al-Baqarah. We finished the 26th ayah last time, so we're going to start from the 27th ayah. So let's start. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. الذين, those who ينقضون, break عهد الله, the covenant of Allah, mim, from, بعد, after, ميثاقه, its ratification, ويقطعون, and they cut, ma, what, amara, has ordered, Allahu, Allah, bihi, it, to yusala, be joined, wayufsiduna, and they spread corruption, fil ardi, in the earth, ulaika, those, humul khasirun, are the losers. Those who break the covenant of Allah after it has been made binding and cut off what Allah has commanded to be joined, and spread the disorder on the earth, it is these who are the losers. Islam being concerned about the relationship to other, the cutting asunder of what Allah has commanded should be joined includes all kinds of the relationships. The one between Allah and his servant, the one between a man and his parents and relatives, between him and his neighbors and the friends, between one Muslims and another, between one man and another. Actually, the Islam means fulfilling one's obligations with regard to all these relationships, and this is also the way to follow the Sharia. Deficiency in the fulfilling these obligations produce all kinds of the disorder among men, and thus the transgressors and end up by being the destructive and others and for themselves. It is these, the Holy Quran says, who are the losers in this world and this in the other world as well. So this is about the relationships, all the relationships. That's why, as we discussed in the previous ayat, Hukukul Allah, two types of the Hukuk, two types of rights are Hukukul Allah and Hukukul Ibad. Right? So Hukukul Allah, the Hukuk of Allah, the Hukukul Ibad, the Hukuk of the rights of the people. And what are these relationships, the rights are included? First, the Allah and his servant, and between the man, his parents, his relatives, husband, wife, and relation with parents, relation with the parents and children, with neighbors, with the Muslims to other Muslims. So these are also the rights, and these are Allah Rabbul Izzat in the Holy Quran told us how do we spend the relations, how do we make the relationships with others. Next ayah, ayat number 28. Kaifa, how, takfuruna, can you disbelieve, billahi, in Allah, wa kuntum, while you were, amwatan, dead, fa ahyakum, then he gave you life, thumma, then, yumitukum, he will cause you to die, thumma, then, yuhyikum, he will give you life, thumma, then, ilayhi, to him, turja'un, you will be returned. How is it that you deny Allah despite that you were lifeless and he gave you life, then he will make you die, then he will make you live again, return? The earlier verses affirmed the existence and the oneness of Allah and the prophethood, giving self-evident proofs and refuting the whimsical and the false notions of the doubters and the disbelievers. These two verses speak of the blessing which Allah has showered on man, pointing out that all the same there are the men who do not recognize the bounty of Allah and persist in the denial. The suggestion being that if they do not want to take the trouble of considering the arguments which have been advanced by the Holy Quran in the earlier verses, that they should, as every man with that undistorted nature must, at least be grateful to their benefactor. For even this would be a way of realizing why they should be obedient to Allah. The first of two words refers to the blessing which are particular to the very being of man. That is to say, he had no life before Allah gave him existence. The second verse refers to the general blessings which are common to the man and the other creatures. Firstly, the earth and all that it contains and on which the man's life immediately depends, and secondly, the skies with which the life on earth is directly related. Verses 28 begins by expressing the surprise at those who insist on being grateful to Allah and on denying Him. On the face of it, the disbelievers and the never denied Allah, but only the Holy Prophet ﷺ. All the same, the Holy Quran equates such a denial with the denial of Allah Himself. Then the verse reminds man that the once he was dead, amwat means the dead, or that he had no life. He existed, if at all, in the shape of the billions of lifeless particles aimlessly floating. Allah brought them together, made them into a man, and gave them the life. The verse proceeds to warn him that Allah will take away his life and then give it back to him a second time. This second life refers to the day of judgment, when Allah will collect the lifeless and the scattered particles of each and every man again and give him a new life. Thus, the first death, or the state of lifelessness, was at the beginning before the man received the life from Allah. The second death comes when a man completes the lifespan allotted to him, and the second life will be given on the day of judgment. The verse ends by telling the man that he will ultimately go back to Allah. This, of course, refers to the resurrection, when all men will rise from their graves, will be assembled for giving an account of their deeds, and be finally punished or rewarded according to what they had been doing in the world. According to this verse, the chief blessings of Allah for the man is life. For without life he cannot profit from any other blessing. This is always enough, but the verse counts this too as a blessing. It's so because the physical death is a door to the perpetual life of the other world, after which there is no death. Ayat number 29. He, Alladhi is the one who, khalaqa, created, lakum, for you, ma, what, fi, is in, al-arzi, the earth, jamia, all, thumma, moreover, astawa, he turned, ila samai, to the heaven, fasawwahunna, and fashioned them, sab'a, 7 samawatin, heavens, wahuwa, and he, bikulli, for every shay'in, thing, alim, is all knowing. He is the who created for you all the earth contains. Then he turned to the heavens and made them 7 skies, and he is the knower of all things. In recounting the blessings which man has received from Allah, verse 29 refers to Allah having created for man all that the earth contains. This small phrase comprehends all kinds of benefits which occur to him from the earth and its produce. Then the word speaks of the creation of the sky and its division into the 7 skies or heavens, as they are usually called in English. In this context, the Holy Quran uses the Arabic word istawa, which initially means to stand upright, to climb, and hence signifies to turn or pay attention to something, and in a wider sense, to take a straight and firm decision which nothing can hinder. The implication here is that Allah being omniscient and omnipotent, it was not at all difficult for him to create the universe once he had decided to do so. The life, barzakh, the period between death and the resurrection. Verse 28. So barzakh is also the thing, the period between the death and the resurrection. Barzakh is the word where the all souls lies there. Okay, because our body lies in the graves and our souls lies in the barzakh. Verse 28 shows that the man who does not apparently deny Allah but refuses to accept the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as the messenger of Allah and the Holy Quran as a book of Allah would still be counted among those who do not believe in Allah. Number 2. Verse 28 mentions only one kind of the life, which is to follow one's physical death. That is the life which will begin on the day of resurrection, but says nothing about the life in the grave. Although the Holy Quran and the Hadith explicitly speak of how the people will be questioned about their faith in their graves and will also receive some reward or the punishment. No, this is life in the grave. A grave is something intermediary, barzakh, between the life which man has in this world and he will have in the other. In other words, it is a state in between the two, resembling the life one has while dreaming. It can be called a supplement to life of the life or the world, as also a prelude to the life of the hereafter. In short, this intermediary life is not in itself a distinct entity and hence need to be mentioned separately. According to verse 29, everything in the universe has been created for the man. It means that there is nothing in the universe from which the man doesn't derive some benefit in one way or the other, directly or the indirectly. They are the things which man uses physically as food or the medicines. Other things are useful for him without his knowing it. Even the poisonous or the dangerous things do him some good. Even the things which are forbidden for him in one of their aspects may in some other aspects be quite beneficial. Finally, almost everything can serve to teach him a lesson or illuminate him in the interest of his life in the hereafter. The great Sufi Ibn Atta remarks in the connection with the words, Allah has created the universe for you so that it should be serve you as you should serve Allah. A wise man should thus know that he will certainly get what has been created for him, and should not, in worrying about the forget the being for whom he himself has been created. Al-Bahr al-Muhit. On the basis of that verse 29, some scholars have came to the conclusion that since everything in the world has been created for the man, it's essentially legitimate halal and the permissible mubah for man to make use of everything except the things which have been forbidden by the Sharia. So the use of thing is to be regarded as lawful for long as the Holy Quran or the Hadith does not forbid it. On the contrary, some other scholars say that the mere fact of a things having been created for the benefit of man does not argue that it is automatically becomes lawful to make use of it. So the use of everything is essentially unlawful unless an explicit statement in the Holy Quran or the Hadith or the argument based on the establishes the use of a thing as legitimate. There are still the other authentic scholars who have not taken the side in the controversy. Ibn Mayyah, in this commentary, Al-Bahr al-Muhit, points out that this verse does not provide a valid basis for either of the two views. For the latter, I am in the phrase khalaqa lakum indicates the cautions signifying that the universe has been created for your sake. So one cannot draw any conclusion from the phrase as to use of the everything being essentially legitimate or the illegitimate. The injection with regard to the legitimacy or the other illegitimacy of the use of the particular things have been provided elsewhere in the Holy Quran and the Hadith, and it is obligatory to follow these injunctions. Number 5. 29 verse 29 shows that the earth was created before the skies, as indicated by the verse thumma then, Another verse of the in the Holy Quran seems to be saying the opposite. He spread out the earth after this. So, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the earth has been created after the skies. What it actually implies that although the earth had already been created when the skies came into being, yet a final shape was given to it after the reaction of the skies. Number 6. According to the verse 29, the skies are the sevens in the numbers. This shows that the opinion of the ancient Greek astronomers and some Muslim philosophers who used to speak the 9 heavens was no more than the conjectures, because it's the 7 skies and 7 earths in the Holy Quran. Allah just said again and again. Ayat number 30. وَإِذَا and when قَالَ said رَبُّكَ your Lord لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ to the angels إِنِّي indeed I am جَائِلٌ going to place fil arzi in the earth Khalifa the vicegerent. قالوا they said أَتَجْعَلُ will you place فيها in it one who يفسد will spread corruption فيها in it ويسفك and will shed الدماء the bloods وَنَحْنُ while we نُسَبِّحُ we glorify you بِحَمْدِكَ with your praises وَنُقَدِّسُ and we sanctify laka to you. Qala said inni indeed I am a'lamu I know ma what la not ta'lamun you know. Okay, and when your Lord said to the angels I am going to create a deputy on the earth, they said will you create there one who will spread the disorder on the earth and causes the bloodsheds, while we along with your praises proclaim your purity and sanctify your name. He said certainly I know what you don't know. The preceding verse recounted the journal and the sum of the particular blessings of Allah and asked man to recognize them and not to the ungrateful or the disobedient to his benefactor. Note the 10 verses beginning of the 30th verse tell the story of the father of the mankind, the Adam alayhi salam. He is the first prophet of Allah. So he is the father of all mankind. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam in the continuation of this theme and also by way of the illustration for blessing are of the two kinds, tangible and intangible. Food, water, money, houses or the lands are the sum of the tangible blessings, while the honor, happiness, knowledge and are the intangible ones. Do you know the difference between the tangible and the intangible? Okay, tangible things are which we can touch and the intangible things are which we cannot touch, right? So the tangible here is the food, water, money, house or the land are the sum of the tangible blessings, while the honor, happiness or the knowledge are the intangible ones. Okay, the earlier verses were concerned with the blessing. The earlier verses were concerned with the blessing of the first kind. These verses speak of those of the second kind. That is to say, how Allah bestowed the gift of knowledge on the Adam alayhi salam, made the angels prostrate themselves before him to show their respect, and gave men to honor of being his sons, the creation of Adam. The present 3 verses relate how Allah, having decided to create Adam and to make him his deputy on the earth, spoke of it to the angels, seemingly by way of a trial, suggesting that they should express their opinions in this matter. The angels submitted that they could not understand why men were being chosen to be the deputies, for some of them would be shed the blood and spread the disorder on this earth. They thought that they themselves were more suited to perform this function, as the nature of the angels is wholly good. No evil deeds can possibly come out of them. They are totally obedient to Allah and should hence be more capable of managing the affairs of the world. In replying to them, Allah first adopted the mode of the authority and told the angels that they knew nothing about the nature and the needs of the deputation on the earth, and that Allah alone was the one to know it fully. The second answer was in the mode of the wisdom. Adam has been given the preferences over the angels on the account of his superiority in the station of knowledge, because in order to function properly as a deputy on the earth, one must know the names, the properties and the characteristics of the things to be found there, and the angels had no aptitude for this kind of the knowledge. So that when Allah Rabbul Izzat told the angels that he's going to create the human, he's going to create the human beings on the earth. So the angels said to Allah Rabbul Izzat, "Oh Allah, why you are creating the man, the human? Why you are creating the human beings on the earth? Because they will make the disorder in the earth. You know, they will fight with each other. So if you want to, your ibadah, so we are doing the best ibadah for you, because you know the complete group of the angels, the group of the angels who are doing the sajda, group of the angels who are doing the ruku, and they are doing the qiyam, and the lots of angels Allah created, and every angel, every time, not a single time, not a one time or not a 5 times in a day, they each and every second they are doing the ibadah of the Allah Rabbul Izzat. So the angel said, "We are here for your ibadah. Why you are creating the human being on the earth?" So Allah Rabbul Izzat, first Allah Rabbul Izzat said, the thing you don't know, I know everything, right? And the second, Allah Rabbul Izzat said, Allah Rabbul Izzat make us superior. I used to ask that why Allah Rabbul Izzat make us superior. So Allah Rabbul Izzat make us superior to the angels as well, right? Due to the knowledge. We are the superior due to our knowledge, right? We have the power of mind. We already discussed about these things, right? Okay. Number 1, a question arises here as to why Allah chosen to speak His decision to the angels. Was it merely to inform them? Was it to seek their advice? Or what was to make them express their opinion on the subject? Why Allah discussed the Adam's creation with the angels? As for seeking the advice, it is obvious enough to that the one turns for the advice to the wise and the trustworthy people. Only when the one cannot see all aspects of the problem clearly and doesn't want to depend on one's own knowledge and understanding alone, or when the rights of the other are equal to the one's own, and they too have to be consulted, as happiness in the counsel of the world. Evidently, neither of the two situations obtained in the present case. Allah is the creator of the universe. Allah is the creator of the universe and knows everything about the smallest particle of dust. He sees and hears everything, apparent or hidden. How can He stand in the need of anyone's advice? Similarly, He doesn't run the universe under the parliamentary system, in which all have the equal rights and everyone has to be consulted directly or indirectly. He is the Lord and the Master, and all His creatures, be they man or the angels, are His slaves. No one has the right to question Him about His actions and to ask Him why He did this or why He did not do that. He cannot be questioned as to what He does, while they are to be the questions. I think so that's enough for today. Inshallah we will meet in the next video. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.